All right, we're going to do the analysis for the Clementi. Um, hopefully you have gone and listened to this a few times or played it on the piano. And the instructions said something along the lines of you need to, well, let's go and take a look at the instructions. That would be good. All right. It says analyze the attached music excerpt for key chord functions and Roman numerals as indicated on the scores. So that's for this one. We don't put Roman numerals for the jazz one because we're just looking at chord functions at that point. Okay. So the most important thing here is that you listen to it and you get an idea how fast the chords are changing, and you got to get the key right. If you don't analyze the key right, all your chord numbers will be wrong, and you'll be scratching your head saying, where are all my 1 and 5 chords? Okay. All right. Shall we keep doing this in red? Sure. Why not? I'm going to presume that you have listened to this and hopefully have done this as well. I'm 1 sharp right here, right? And if I look, that means that I'm either in the key of G major or E minor. Now, just because this is in one, it doesn't mean that's going to be, in major or minor here, doesn't mean it might not be in the other on the final. So you got to always check that, right? And so if this is in G major, we're going to see lots of GBDs. That's our 1 chord, and D, F sharp, A's, and maybe a C, because that would be my 7, right? This is my 1, it's my 5 with a 7 right there. If I'm in E minor, I'm going to see a lot of EGBs, right? That'd be my 1, and B, D sharp, F sharp, and maybe an A. And this will show as an accidental because it's not in the key signature. That would be my 5 with a 7 if I have the 7 on it. So first off, I'm going to scan here. And I only see 1 accidental, which is a C sharp, which is not that. So I don't think I'm in the key of E minor. Furthermore, when I listen to this, it just doesn't sound like I'm in minor, right? Okay, so, and as I look here at the beginning, I'm seeing a lot of B's and D's and G's, and I've got this thing here going GBD. I think I'm in the key of G major. How do I indicate that? At the very beginning, I put a large G with a colon right there, G major. All right, we got these guys spelled. How often do I change chords here? Well, it looks to me like there's a chord there and 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 here. Here, it looks like maybe I've got 2 chords, which is not uncommon as we get to a cadence or the end of a phrase. Sometimes chords speed up a little bit right there, okay? So if I'm in the key of G major, then I look at this and I go, oh, G, B, D, B. Remember, that's a 1 chord, by the way, that if it's a major chord, which it is, I put uppercase 1 right there. If I was in the minor key and that was a minor chord, I'd use a lowercase 1. So you got to get the Roman numeral case size correct. Furthermore, you look at the first note of every group to determine your inversion. In other words, this is in root position because that's a G right there, but I don't have to put a 6 here and a 6-4 here and a 6. It just is good for the whole group right there. Okay, does that make sense? Hope so. Hope this is very familiar to you. The notes up here also confirm that it's a G chord, right? Here, it looks like I have the same thing again. I think it's just another G chord, and I got a G hanging up here, and then some fast notes going in, but the lower notes and the things that look like chords, especially the lower notes though, chord structures are sort of the definition, and so these aren't really in play here. It's not even a major 7th because this is just like filler between them, right? All right, so it's another 1. Now, high level analysis people won't even put anything there because it's the same, but it's a test. And so I'm actually looking for chord. So, put it in there. And we're in root position again, so we don't need to put anything there. Now we have something different. We have an F sharp, an A, and a D, and an A. We have lots of D's here, and then we have like a C and an E, and I'm not sure how that fits, okay? Rather than just trying to guess, the first thing we want to do is compare it against our 5 chord and our 1 chord. It's no longer a 1 chord. It's got the wrong notes, right? Rather than just guessing here, is it our 5 chord? Compare D, F sharp, A, C, D, F sharp, A, D, 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 C. Does this count as a seventh? You can call it a seventh if you like. You can say, nah, it's just transient. We'll learn more about that in the next term, but either one is fine. Certainly, it's a 5, right? Uppercase because it's major, because the F sharp in the key signature. If you call it just a 5 triad, with the third as the first note of this group in the bass, then it's a 6, right? If you decided that this is the 7th of the chord and it's important to the sound, then you would put a 6-5 to distinguish that this is a chord with a 7th as well. It's up to you, or you can do both like that. Okay. I don't think in this case I would take points off of either one. And what comes after 5? Well, our chord progression theory tells us that 5s go to 1. Remember the diagram? And is this a 1 chord? GBD, it's the same. It's a 1 chord, and it's also in root position. That's nice. One of the challenges of this is I'm not giving you a placeholder saying identify the chord in here or in here. Now you're having to use your experience and your skills and your previous theory knowledge to sort of suss out where the chords are. Okay. Oh, look, it's another G chord right here. New phrase. Well, it's another 1 chord. And it's also in root position. Boy, this is super easy, unless you got the key wrong, or unless you didn't pre-spell these and you're having to figure each one ahead of time, right? This guy's different. It's got the same 2 notes to begin with, but there's an E right there, and the E is there, and there's a B right there. So we've got E, B, or G, B, E, right? Or E, G, B. And if you spin that around, it's an E chord, right? It's E minor. And in this key, E is note number 6, right? And E is not the lowest note. And remember, we're in bass clef here. You could get confused and think that's an E. It's a G, which is the third of the chord. So there we go, right there. Okay. Doing well. Let's take a look here. These definitely look like 2 different chords to me, right? It seems like this is going down. I know the bottom there is the same, but you know, when I listen, it's yan dun da 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 dum, and it's mi mi re re do. So let's check this out. D, A, F sharp. Looks like a D chord, right? So we can call this a 5, and the 5th is in the bass, 6-4 right there. Okay. Let's take a look at this one. It's got an A and an E, and now we've got B's and D's and C sharps. But remember, the bottom part tells us what this is, right? And I think this is framing up a chord, A, C sharp, E, because B and D don't make any sense with these guys, right? This is A, C sharp, and E. Now, in the key of G, A would be a 2 chord, and 2 should be minor, but that C sharp makes it major. So if you did this on the test, you're fine, okay? But as soon as we complete this, I'm going to explain just what's going on next level so you know, because 2 chords are not usually major, and our ears know that something is up. Even the fact that the 5 chords in a weird inversion like this, something's up. D and D, well, 2 likes to go to 5, and that's the roots right there. Okay, and that's full points for this test. But let me just explain something, because this happens in music all the time, and rather than giving you only textbook situations, it's nice to see what's happening in real life. The piece starts in the key of G, and then quickly changes to the key of D, which is the dominant. And that's what a lot of classical pieces of music do. They start off in a key, and then they go adventuring to the land of the dominant key. And if you think about this for a minute, if I have an F sharp and I add a C sharp, and it's a 2 sharp scale, that's the key of D, right? I want you to rethink this for a minute here. If I'm in the key of D for this measure, then this becomes a 1, I'm going to write it down here in pencil so you don't get these mixed up. A 1, 6, 4, and this becomes a 5, which is supposed to be major. and a 1. And that's why this 2 chord is major, because actually we've cheated and are working for the other team now. We're in the key of D, and this is a 1 chord, and this is a 5, not a 2 chord. And so the quality is perfect now, and a 1, okay? Clementi has done what everybody else did at this time. In fact, we can go back further and take a look at this chord. It is a 6 chord in the key of G, but E minor is a 2 chord. So it's also 2, 6 in D. And if you stick it out till second year, we'll do modulations or changing key in great depth. And you'll find out that usually what happens in the first phrase, you're all in one key. And in the second phrase, quickly, you get something like a 6 chord, which turns sort of double agent. It's functional in the old key and functional in the new key. And then this 2 chord goes to here, which is, I know it looks like a 1, but it's really all just a 5 chord with ornamentation, and 2s go to 5. And this is the way they did it. They did it with mechanisms. Beginning of the second phrase, jump on a chord that could be interpreted in both keys, then say we're in the new key, and then just, peace out in the new key, right? Now, if you did this with a major 2, that's fine. You're good. Don't worry about it. That's what we're looking for, that you can, I guess, yeah, no, that's right. That you can find the key, that you can, find the groupings of chords, that you can spell them and figure out what they are number-wise, that you get the case Roman numerals, upper and lower, correct, and that when there's figured bass required, you can get the first note of each group and name them, okay? And, if you got like, what the crap is that, and lost a half a point because of case for that, that's not bad. All right.